A jet engine swing such as
You ever seen the Space Shuttle Challenger launch? It was sick and successfully launched 7 astronauts into the sky. And I want to do that with a jet engine on a swing. But I don't have enough space to do all the big dumb projects I want
so
to
he's
do.
just going to launch himself into the space.
Until now, when I bought my dream house and even paid extra to get a kitchen, 2 bathrooms, and high ceilings. Look at all this space. It's such a liberating
Is that an RB?
feeling, being able to chuck a rock anywhere you want, where the only thing I have to worry about hitting is an endangered bird. I own that tree, and that tree, and that tree, this log, and even this poo. And this 100 acres of pristine Aussie bush is filled with beautiful animals and plants. And
Oh, you gotta touch this, man.
also has more than enough room for a jet engine on a swing, which might just burn the whole place down. So despite what people say, making a jet engine is actually pretty easy. See this jar with a hole in the top? It's not only a flashlight, but a jet engine. Don't believe me? Watch.
Oh, he ruined it.
Yeah. No. Alright, you're just going to have to believe me. And that's the simplest version, and then the jars get more and more complicated, like this and this. But despite how much these people will try to convince you, no one actually knows how they work. And all these scientists, they're just going along with it, because they don't want to seem dumb and ask the wrong questions and lose their job. Which is why I'm not going to complicate things and get anyone fired, and just make a pulse jet, which is essentially a metal version of this broken jar. You have the combustion chamber here, which when the gas ignites, it pushes out here and here. But because the gas takes longer to come out of this section, it pulses back in or something and the ignition continues for some reason. And this unexplainable process gives you heaps of thrust, like enough to become a nungling from over 400 k's away, which is perfect for me. So I'm going to copy famous Englishman Colin Furze, as his pulse jet looks fairly simple, but I've decided to upscale my
Yeah, why is he doing it so close to the
design
pan?
by exactly 1%, just so I can say it's bigger than
Pan might actually explode, bro.
Also, I haven't figured out the swinging part yet. I'll just work that out later. Alright, I started by cutting out this 1.6mm sheet metal, which for those following along at home is this big. But now I have to turn this flat piece into a round section. And the first piece didn't go well.
That is not going to line up.
Neither did the second.
Together, please.
But after using the vise, I eventually got this, which I tacked together. Then I cut out and rolled these tailpipe sections, which was a little harder.
Ben, do you think that? Yes. Yes. I'm fine.
But eventually I got this together by using the most ratchet of straps to pull it. So after tacking it together, I need to weld everything up. And after doing a practiced weld on some scrap to make sure I don't screw it up,
Pretty good.
I'm good to go. And this was a lot of welding, and really made me realize how bad I am at following plans. I don't think I ever successfully welded a piece first go. And it was a long process of welding, and cutting my own welds, and putting them back down, and then using a hammer to persuade the pieces into place. And eventually
Looks pretty
I
cool.
got these 2 pieces, and a mad welding tan. So after I ground down one of the edges on the missile-shaped piece, I welded it to the trumpet piece. Nothing I do comes together without gaps. But the good thing about having the worst welds on the internet is that I can just fill the gaps with more ugly welds and no one expects anything less. But I'm pretty happy. The welds are mostly solid, except for here where I welded around my thumb. And also the whole thing is slightly off center, but it shouldn't matter. Now I just need to run the fuel line. So I got this pipe and welded a bolt in the end to make it airtight, then drilled some holes to make it air loose for the gas to come out. But these aren't randomly placed holes. They are very special. I'm hoping that if I put the holes in the same direction as the nozzle, when I crank up the gas, it will
Yeah,
pull
looks like a plot.
in the air in a phenomena called the Vitruvian Man, which will ignite and hopefully self-start and eliminate me needing a leaf blower like all these idiots. Like Colin Furze has made over 10 of these pulse jets and never made a self-igniting one, which is just embarrassing. And there you go, the pipe should be in the center of the inlet, which it looks like it is. So it's time to give it a first go, and I'm slightly concerned that the pulse jet might just melt itself as it's only made out of mild steel. If I was a better welder, I would have made it out of stainless steel, just like this beautiful card from Revolut. Revolut is an all-in-one financial super app designed to simplify your money. They've got all you need in one easy-to-use app, including this beautiful card. Weights on top, we turned on the gas.
My welds aren't the best. I can see sunlight coming through. Ready? Yep.
That was weird.
And nothing happened.
Nothing.
Oh,
Okay, turn it off.
it says like maybe a safety shut off.
So we removed the pesky safety valve put in by the government to throttle your Saturday night barbecuing experience and tried again, with just a sparkler in the combustion chamber.
Yeah, it's in there. Whoa! Raise it more.
More.
Yeah.
It's on fire.
Okay, turn it up.
And it's not self-starting, so we tried with a leaf blower.
Yeah. Yep.
Just propelling upward.
And it
Propelling.
started to rumble, but still wouldn't kick. And I think my holes are the problem, or the lack of them. So I drilled some more and turned it perpendicular to the inlet and welded that in. I also fixed some of the leaking holes in the combustion chamber. And I do owe Colin an apology. I've also failed to make a self-starting pulse jet engine. You're not an idiot, we both are. I'm still convinced you're making a sex dungeon under your house, though.
It started.
I heard it.
It
I
started.
got scared. I turned it off.
Try.
Wait, what do I do when it's at that sound?
When it actually goes boom, you'll say I'll move away, leave it for like a second unless it like flies. If it starts to move, turn it
If
off.
it starts to move, I'm not going to be here, Alex.
No, if it starts to Whoa, that was it.
I don't like it.
It did it.
I don't like it.
Oh.
I don't like it.
You saw it move?
Yes.
And that time it sounded like it was about to go, but my housemate was too scared and kept turning it off. So I got back my mate, who doesn't care as much about our
Poor housemate.
safety, and gave it another go.
You can actually go.
That is so loud. That is. I don't think you should stop running that. Holy.
Cut it off now, Alex.
Yeah, that's too loud.
And we only had that on for a couple of seconds, but it was still the loudest thing my poor ears and neighbours' ears have ever had come inside them. It also made me stim for some reason. It was around 140 decibels, which is louder than a passenger plane taking off right here on my deck. And the simplicity of this is beautiful. No moving parts, just sheet metal in the shape of a trumpet with a barbecue gas bottle. There is really no reason for every man, woman and child watching right now not to go and make one of these. They are seriously the most fun you can have as a 14-year-old living in a crowded urban.
Yeah, just met one, bro.
But I reckon if I ran this any longer, the cops would come and take it for themselves to play with. So I'm stopping. Alright, I don't want to continue using sparklers to ignite this thing. I want to feel more fancy and have buttons. And I could use an ignition coil to light it, but I thought it would be more fun to use a taser. And here's a hot tip for you kids. Tasers are illegal in Australia, but you can still buy them. They're just called cattle prods, which is illegal unless you have animals to prod. But in all seriousness, I'm getting chickens on the property, so I'm going to need this. So all I did was bypass the battery and switch over the taser and connect it to this relay. And now when I press this button, it should work.
Yep.
And kids, once again, this is the perfect setup if you want to... And then welded in the spark plug.
This is the great thing about being a bad
Oh, thanks for the advice.
welder. We can hook cables onto them. Look at that. Okay, when I press this, we should hear it go off. Why do I hear gas? We should see this go off. Yes. Yes.
Alright, now if I'm sitting on the jet engine, I can turn the gas on and off. But what happens if I fly off? Or even worse, what if my clothes fly off? Then I won't have a way to stop the jet engine from flying out of control. So I'm going to make
As a constant
wireless.
animation.
So I bought this solenoid and this brass fitting that precisely don't fit my gas pipe. So I just welded it. That does not work. And I melted the brass. So instead I cut off some hose and stuck that on the end as an adapter, which works nicely. And now I also have the world's first lockable childproof bomb.
What's this?
What do you mean?
Alex. I thought we said you wouldn't have any more drug paraphernalia in the house.
I didn't make it.
Alex, this is in the garage.
I did
you
not.
Said you were not. Gonna
I
have
did
this in
not
here.
make this.
What do you mean?
I didn't make it. He made it.
Is this true? He did it.
He did it. And now when I press this button, gas should come out. And this is weird. I can hear it, but I can't see it. So either there's a snake in the pipe or the guy gave me invisible gas.
Oh, me.
Okay, the ignition works well. And after pissing off everyone in the neighborhood with the noise of this thing, you'd think I'd stop here. But no, I want to be in a Neighbors from Hell episode. So I'm going to make a thrust augmenter. And it's a funnel thing that goes on either one of the exhausts, and for some reason it's meant to add more thrust. But again, it's one of those things in the rocket world where people say it works, but no one can tell me how. Like if this actually worked, surely I could just stack another augmenter on this one, and then another, and another, and another, and get ever-increasing thrust. So let's give it a go, but this time not in the suburbs.
Can the vehicle actually run?
Alright, the self-ignition doesn't work, and I can't get it to start with the augmenter, as it's in the way of the blower. So I just cut it off, and gave that a go, which still didn't work. But then I realized it was because I was out of gas. So I cut off the augmenter for no reason. And after getting a new bottle, we gave it another go. And I have heard whispers on the internet that if I tip the gas bottle upside down, something magical will happen. And that liquid propane really
Goes even louder.
makes it sound angry, and seems like it increases the thrust. Doing it at night seemed to help the thrust as well.
That was still on. I didn't realise I didn't turn it off.
Can you actually fly though?
Now, it's time to move the pulse jet to the top of the hill.
Okay, just do not hit a tree, otherwise your head is gone.
Alright, now to work out the swing. And this can't be like your mum's sex swing. I need it to not fall apart under my weight. And originally I wanted to build 2 A-frames and have the swing on that, but I don't trust my welding enough. So I'm going to use God's A-frames, trees, which are super strong and don't fall over. And these two are in the perfect position, with a clearing on this side, and on the other side, a nice bushy cliff covered in dry grass. So I got this pipe, which has walls 3 mil thick, and secured it in place with these bearings, which I definitely remembered to put on the pipe the first time. And I don't know if these bearings are strong enough, but I also don't care. Then I just welded some arms on the top of the engine with support running to the frame,
That looks unstable.
which is made out of steel, as I've heard it's good at holding up against jet fuel. And the reason I need the extra support is if I just secure it on the top like this, I'm sure that spinning jet engine will just peel itself apart. So instead I have the arms running to the frame, and then the frame running all the way to the bottom. Then also just reinforced all the welds, while also making sure I keep the camera in a way where it doesn't reveal the location of my property to any of you freaks. Alright, now to see if it fits. Which it does, if I leave my car here. But now I'm stuck.
What are we gonna do? Deflate
Or the leg.
the tires. Let's see.
And if I just tried to run it
One is just tip over then
like this,
what?
I don't think it would do 360s, as it would probably just get to like 45 degrees and then just stop. So originally I thought I could get like 5 meters of spear gun rubber and slingshot it to start it off. But then I realized I should just copy what I did in my intro and put a counterweight on top so it really wants to spin.
too much leverage when you lift your arms out.
Maybe if I go like that.
And if you guys have never experienced having a steel pole in between your cheeks while also holding 20 kilos above your head, you definitely have to try it. It's a fantastic feeling. When I got down
Wow.
though, we realized
Maybe I
we
should
could have just
try that.
rotated the jet to put the weights on. Also, I realized another thing about the spinning I didn't consider. When the jet engine is upside down, it's going to run on liquid propane. So it'll be cycling between liquid and gas, giving it a lot more thrust, but will also put a lot of stress on the solenoid, which is not meant to run on cold liquid propane, which means it could blow up or get stuck in the open position, which is why I got rid of the Chinese solenoid and switched it with this beefy one. And it being Chinese has nothing to do with it. This one just has a bigger hole. Then I just bolted on a chair for me to sit on and put the electronics in a box. And it's done. And after a visit to the car park of an event cinema movie theater, I should have enough fire extinguishers to do the first test. But just to be sure we don't burn everything down, we also stole the neighbor's generator and made a firefighting setup. And there's nothing left but to do it. And this is probably the most scared I've ever been before turning on one of my dumb devices.
Excellent for us, Paya. That's how it started.
So what's our plan? Our plan is do it, and we're both running just and hiding behind that tree.
Yeah, behind that tree there.
And it wouldn't start, even though nothing has changed since we did the other tests. So we tried different sized gas bottles, thinking that that could have been the issue. And we also tried moving the bottle position around.
Fire in the hole! What did that happen?
Why is she barefoot there?
And even though we got it started once, it wouldn't stay on. So we tried a couple more times.
I don't know, is this a good idea?
But then called it a night. I decided to try again in the morning with a plan. So in the morning we got up and went to a car dealership and installed a TV for them.
We did a much better job at this than the jet engine. First go.
Can I get a picture?
Of course, yeah.
Then once we had done that, we tried the jet engine again.
Why?
Which still wouldn't work. But then we realized that the solenoid was probably the problem. As you know how earlier I said that nothing had changed from our stationary
Yeah,
test
that's the sinus
before?
one.
One thing did, the length of this hose, which doesn't seem like it would make a difference, but because it's shorter now, there might be less resistance on the solenoid and the gas can pass through easier. So we did something you're definitely not meant to do and put a kink in the gas pipe, which will hopefully build up more pressure and force the solenoid to open all the way. And that was the best so far, but I want it to spin for as long as we tell it to. So we crimped the hose a little harder and gave it another go.
I thought it was actually going to jump, sit in down, not run away. Yeah, imagine being hit by that.
And that worked so much better than I could have ever hoped. Nothing broke, blew up, or got burnt, and it spun continuously until we switched it off. So we tried again, but this time with the bottle fully tilted so it runs on liquid for longer.
Am I Mr. Sparkler?
Sparkle. That's been the magic touch, so let's keep with it.
Don't be that close to this
And that was
thing.
significantly louder and faster than the others, but it still wasn't running on liquid the whole time. You could hear it going on and off. And I think it's because it's spinning, the liquid is getting pulled to the bottom edge like water in a bucket and not coming out. So we waited till night and decided to try a new tank with more liquid propane in it and give that a go.
Stop.
Yeah, go.
No. It was spraying liquid propane onto you. Get away from it.
And we almost set ourselves on fire.
Okay.
So we tried again with the bottle at 45 degrees. And then we almost blew the jet engine up. So we tried one last time before finally getting the shot I wanted, and also letting you hear the drop of this song.
It's loud.
Yes! That was epic! That initial burst almost stopped and there was...
And this is by far the best thing I've ever made and most fun I've ever had filming a video. But there's also zero chance I'm ever going to sit on this thing. Go make a pulse jet kit
Oh, why not? Come on now.
and do it yourself. Thank you so much.
Okay.